I'm here with the one and only Mr. Lordi to talk about the upcoming new record limited edition out March 21st on RPM. It's an honor, it's a pleasure, it's an absolute blast to sit here and talk to Mr. Lordi himself. How are you doing today?
I'm all right. A bit sweaty, a
I,
bit hungry, a bit hungry. I've been up till from 6 a.m. So what? I have no idea what time it is. Oh, I've been up for what? Fucking 14 hours now, right? Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, something like that.
you know what they say, they can't keep a good man down, and in this case, good things come to those who wait, which is me. I'm here now, and
Yeah,
we get to talk about this new record. So let's talk about the theme. I'm going to call it a theme. It's very. I don't want to call it a concept record, even though there is a little bit of a concept to it, but it's more of a
yeah,
theme. I feel like it's more
yeah.
of a theme-driven album. Why has it taken us so long to get a theme record like this from Lordi? Because I think it's like the pieces connect so well.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I don't know what took it so long about it, but it's like there's a loose theme. I think like for example on the previous one, the Screenwriters Guild album, we had like much more tighter and clearer theme like of the horror films and shit. And now the problem was, and it was a problem because I had the idea of the theme, but the whole idea in my head was just visual. 80s toys, 80s collectible fucking action figures, 80s Rubik's cubes, 80s neon lights, 80s like fucking, let's say Iron Maiden Somewhere in Time album cover. All my fucking influences, all my ideas for the theme were visual. How the fuck do you make a song about something like that? How do you make an album? So it was really actually difficult. And there is a theme, but it's a loose theme, but it's like before we started writing the lyrics, because we always write music first. I thought it would be easier to focus on the whole collectible thing and the whole like toys and shit than it was. It was actually pretty difficult to do that in a way. I, I'll be sure not to be trying to attempt to do that again.
But having said that, I want to touch on two different things: the songs and the interludes.
Yeah.
For someone who was born in the late 70s, mid to late
Uh-huh.
70s, I don't want to date myself, and grew up in the 80s, the interludes on this record was a flashback to like
Yeah.
to toy commercials, to like wrestling promos, like
Yeah.
all sorts of stuff like that. It was so much fun, those interludes.
Yeah.
What was the idea for you from your end in creating interludes that have this uniqueness to it, but don't necessarily tie into the songs that come after?
Exactly what you said. They are little exactly. I mean, so I'm born in. I was born in '74, so I grew up my childhood as a kid in the '80s. So the wrestling commercials, the TV commercials, like the Incredible Hulk, the whatever Masters of the Universe
Universe.
figure commercials, all that shit. That is my fucking. That's like the soundtrack and the visual soundtrack of my childhood. So they are there to set the mood for we have always had these little radio theaters, these little SCGs as we call them, Skoctic Circle Gathering Bits on all of our albums. We have those. Um, they are there to set the mood for the next song, pretty much. Because if you think about it, if you start watching a movie, for example, there are the trailers before that. So even those trailers have nothing to do with the movie that you're about to see. They will set the mood somehow, like unconsciously you get some sort of your settings are being like reset. So that's why those things are there. So you are, I mean, of course, I think it works better for people who actually lived that era.
Mhm.
So you have some nostalgic, personal connection to those sounds and what you hear, and you like, this sounds familiar somehow, and that's exactly why they're there. That's exactly why they're there to take you back in the '80s. you
And,
know.
and it
But
worked for
everything
me.
was cool. Yeah, there you go.
When I was listening to the Masters of the Universe style pro action figure promo,
Yeah,
that one is one of my favorites. And the wrestling one, I was like,
yeah,
I was a kid watching that shit, so listening to
yeah,
this was super cool. Having
yeah.
said that, why not an outro? And I'll ask you, like, the reason why is I don't know in Finland, but for me growing up in Portugal, the TV didn't go 24 hours. The TV started in the morning and then around midnight it
Different
would
film.
stop.
Yeah, right.
So I thought it would have been really cool to perhaps have an outro that ends the transmission, that ends the experience. Did you guys think
Yeah,
about that?
but yeah, didn't even think about it for fuck's sakes, you know, because yeah, I mean in Finland, I mean yeah, the TV didn't go 24 hours. It still doesn't, you know, on some channels it doesn't go there, but we never had like in the States, for example, when they in the 80s, they played the national anthem, showing the flag, after the program ended on every night they did that, at least on some channels. And the reason why I know this is because it's shown on Nightmare on Elm Street, the first one, I wouldn't know it other way. But in Finland we didn't have that. We didn't have that. When the last fucking program was done, that's it. You're done. There was no like
See you
good night.
tomorrow.
There was nothing like that. Or at least I don't remember there ever being on any channel.
I
But then
think
again,
for
in the 80s, we in Finland we have the huge amount of two channels. So eh,
you guys and Portuguese people are very alike. We only had two channels, and whenever it was
there we
over,
go.
you just
Yeah,
got static noise, and that was it. Like that's all you
that's
got.
it. Yep.
Uh, Speaking of toys and toy collections in the 80s, do you have a favorite one?
Oh, plenty of favorite ones for fuck's sakes.
If you had
But
to,
when it comes to toys, I think my favorite toys are Masters of the Universe and Star Wars, of course, those. Even though, while that being said, I'm a huge fan of ET, so I love the ET toys and I love the Gremlins toys. But the Gremlins toys are done much later. They are not like from the original, like fucking. I have the lunchboxes and stuff, some stuff from the 80s, but I would say, yeah, Masters of the Universe and Star Wars. Those are the fucking top-notch 80s. Those are my favorites, absolutely.
do
And
you
I
have?
think actually, I actually do like the Masters of the Universe toys and the castles and all that shit. I like them even more than the Star Wars toys because they were bigger, they were
Mhm.
better looking.
More muscle.
Yeah, yeah, not the muscle is fine, but because they were bigger and they were like fucking, they looked fucking cool as hell. And come on, Castle Grayskull, yeah, or Snake Mountain, come on, that's pretty fucking cool. Come on.
Nothing beats it.
Exactly. I mean, there's like, yeah.
If you guys were to do a Mr. Lordi action figures collection from like inspired in the 80s,
Oh, I
what kind
wish.
of anti-hero would you guys be like in the Masters of the Universe or maybe in Sheila as the anti-hero of one of those cartoons?
Absolutely. We would be on Masters of the Universe. We would be right there with with Skeletor.
I think you guys would be
I think
better than
we would
Skeletor.
we would be fitting right in there. Yeah.
I think you guys would be way better than Skeletor. That is for
I
sure.
know.
That
I
is
know,
for
but
sure.
Skeletor is the coolest looking fucking bad guy ever. I mean that simplest fucking idea. I think he's the coolest looking bad guy ever.
I
Such a simple idea, like a fucking Grim Reaper, but and the colors, for fuck's sakes.
the purple, yeah,
Awesome. Yeah, yeah.
absolutely amazing.
By the way, now when the Masters of the Universe movie is coming, I fucking hope that they don't go and fuck up with the colors of Skeletor. They have to, and Beastman. Beastman has to be red or orange, and Skeletor has to be purple and fucking yellow face. Not what they did in the '80s movie with Frank Langella being
Oh,
all.
but that movie was a disaster with Dolph Lundgren.
Mhm.
That movie was an absolute disaster. I hope they do much better now. You said about writing the lyrics after the music.
Yeah.
The lyrics on this record are so much fun to listen to. Specifically, legends are made of cliches because you don't understand how many times I've sat down with my son watching a horror movie and telling him if there's a noise coming from the basement, why the fuck are they going there?
Yeah, because it works in the film. In real life, it wouldn't work. But then again, I always say this to my friends when we watch movies, and still today you're watching a horror movie and there's somebody going to the dark fucking slaughterhouse. Don't reach for the. He doesn't reach for the fucking light switch on the wall. No, he will use his fucking flashlight because why not? And and always the same things. Like the movie would be so short. This is what I always tell to my friends, that if he wouldn't go in there, the movie would have end credits right now. It would end. If he would be wise like a normal person, if they know that there's a killer on the loose in town, and he might be hanging around the haunted fucking slaughterhouse or whatever fucking blah blah camp, why the fuck would you go in there?
Yeah.
But they do, and those are the cliches. But the thing is that the reason why I wanted to write that lyric is that because cliches have a negative ring to it as a word. I mean, cliches are considered to be something negative, something bad, something undesirable. But I think cliches are actually positive thing, because cliches, if you really think about it, in movies, also in music, cliche means that it's a blueprint that works. Something that works, and so people want to have it over and over again, and what's gonna be there. Already these cliched, whether it's music, whether it's movies, plot line, whatever. Cliches work. That's why they are cliches, because so many people have used it so many times, because they fucking work. That's why you use it. You're not using any kind of. You're not you're when you're writing music, you are not using the chord structure that doesn't do anything. It doesn't create any kind of reaction in people, or in yourself. When you're writing a story, you are not using a storyline that you are not gonna send that guy home and he's like, oh, there's a killer on the loose in town. All right, let's go check the fucking abandoned haunted slaughterhouse. And then the other guy says, no, let's not get involved with that. Let's not go there. And the end credits. So that's why it doesn't work. You have to do stupid things.
They're cliches for a
But,
reason.
but I don't think they're stupid things. They are just things that fucking work.
Work. Yeah, yeah. And speaking of working, the lyrics on this record, not just on this record, on every Lordi record, but we're specifically talking about this one. I think they're pure genius. The way you guys are able to create a fun experience, an easy to follow storyline within the song, hitting all
Thanks.
of the cliches, hitting everything. It comes across so simple, but at the same time, when I look at it, it must take a lot of work to
Fuck
put it
yeah.
all
So
together and make it sound
I
like easy.
thank you for saying that. We really don't, we are not a band that we really get that much credit for the lyrics. So I will tell this to my co-writers, Tracy, because he will be also like thanks, man, because this is something we spend a lot of time on the lyrics. We spend a lot of fucking time. It doesn't mean we don't really have that much to say about the current fucking political situation in the world or anything like that. These are meant to be entertainment, but they are. We are trying our hardest not to suck. We are trying to do very good lyrics, and I think we are, most of the times we are pretty much succeeding in what we are trying to do. So thanks for saying that, because we do really spend a lot of time on the lyrics. Yeah.
Yeah, because it's not just creating them, it's creating them in the way that for the listener are easy to follow along and understand, but at the same
Right.
time packing so much into them. Another song like Collectible. I thought Collectible was such a great song because anybody that's watched like a movie where there's a doll that's
Price
haunted,
player.
like you know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like can relate to that. There's a reason why I don't buy any vintage stuff because I'm afraid that it's gonna. Do you have any vintage? Do you have any haunted collectibles?
Yeah, I mean, for real, that would be haunted. No, I don't have any collectibles that would actually be haunted, but I have like Chucky dolls and I have like shit like that. So, yeah, but you know,
Would you buy something that if somebody told you that,
no, no. I had a chance to buy actually like real human skulls once, and like actual goddamn fucking skulls and shit. Eh, then I was like, maybe that's a little bit too occult for me. That's a little tiny bit too shit gets real, And so I like the plastic skulls. Let me put it that way. So if there would be a doll or an item or a toy or something, oh, this toy is haunted. Well, I've seen enough movies. I wouldn't buy that. I wouldn't take it in my house.
See, the
I
cliches
wouldn't take it.
work.
Yeah. So I would know already. I would have learned already, but no, don't take that home.
Yeah,
Give
like
it to give it to some guy that you hate,
yeah, but if you watch the
and then just take popcorn and watch what happens with the neighbor next door. What happens when they have the fucking, haunted doll.
I know the
So
only problem is if you watch the movie The Conjuring, you give the doll away, and next thing you know, the doll shows up in your house by the time you get back.
that's the shitty part of them. So
Yeah, that's the shitty part of the haunted
better
collectible.
try and stay away from those kind of fucking things. Yeah.
I agree with you. You guys created such a fun record about the 80s. Specifically, like you said, for those of us that grew up in the 80s, this album is like you're getting into a time machine and you're going back in time. Well, outside of the toys, outside of the TV shows, from a musical standpoint, what do you feel was made the 80s so impactful for so many of us that you see so many bands now kind of trying to recreate that sound of the 80s?
Because even though there are some people who will go to their grave and say that the 80s were it was the worst decade when it comes to fashion or visual things or music or shit. No, for us, it's the best fucking decade. It's the best decade. I mean, 90s was the dullest fucking decade ever. I mean, for me, it was like it was the decade of boredom and I mean, if you look at the even if you look at the music and if you look at the style of, let's say, album cover artwork at the time, if you compare these two decades, 90s and 80s, come on, 90s was like black and white and messy and depressing and bands like Nirvana and stuff like that. 80s was bands like fucking Poison and Wasp, Colors and Happiness and cool shit. Rambo blowing up shit with fucking flamethrower and cool shit happening, and Ghostbusters and awesomeness to the maximum. And then you go to the 90s and so I think finally, I mean, okay, things come back in cycles. So now it's time for the 80s to come back again. And well, unfortunately, that means that 90s will come back again soon again. That's how they come in cycles, That's how
Uh,
it is.
That unfortunately the 90s will come back with plaid, which is horrible. But I gotta ask you about your career, your longevity. This is the band's 19th record. What is the secret to Lordi's success?
The success? I have no idea. Well, I've been lucky enough, and I'm a lucky bastard in that I get to do what I want to do, and I don't because my target audience for the whole band is one person. That's myself. I'm doing everything to please myself, and if anyone else likes it, it's a plus. That's how I think of it. So I don't know if there's any secret to success. I mean, I don't think you know time is something that will not um, time will not give you credibility, but it gives you acceptance. Let me
Wow,
put it.
that is a great line. Very
Yeah,
philosophical. I
because
wasn't expecting.
by this time now, people know that okay, Lord is here. The band is not going to go anywhere. They're just fucking there, so might as well accept it. I don't need to like it, but they're there, so we'll just So you just have to accept it. Yeah, that's how it is. That's how yeah.
Did you, in the beginning of the band, did you envision that you would be where you are today?
Sure. But I probably also envisioned that I would be playing sold at Madison Square Garden in Manhattan. So that hadn't happened yet. But
Yet.
yeah. But I mean, sure. I mean, I have never been short of like fantasizing ideas. There are the label people are